this year, under the theme India's Invincible Icons, the spotlight is on the change makers, those who refuse to be defined by limits, whose achievements push us all to dream bigger and step forward with confidence. Join us as we kick off the curtain raiser for this year's celebration of excellence. The stage is set, the icons are ready, and the journey begins.
मैं आपका बहुत मशकूर हूँ और मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि आपने मुझको यहाँ पर मदऊ किया और ऐसी खूबसूरत अच्छी एक महफिल आपने यहाँ पर मुनज़्ज़म की है। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
जब हमारा नेशनल एंथम चला तो सर ये अभी भी रोंगटे खड़े हो रहे थे। तो मतलब वो उससे बड़ी फीलिंग कुछ नहीं थी। मतलब ऐसा लगता है कि जितनी भी आज तक मेहनत करी है, इंजरीज हुई हैं, जो भी हुआ है, वो उस टाइम भूल गए थे हम।
I don't believe in tags, I don't believe in comparisons. For me, the joy of life is just watching that ball and hitting it in the middle of the box.
And only Rashmika Singh.
इंडिया कभी झुकेगा नहीं।
Please do keep watching CNN News 18, but beyond that, do watch films in the theatre.
Thank you for that. We're on cable as well as on social.
You don't get CNN News 18 in theatres yet. So.
To be holding the award for being the youth icon, Indian of the Year, just is truly a very, very special feeling. Thank you, CNN News 18 again.
The country's distinguished minds have come together to decide on who will be crowned at the 15th edition of the Indian of the Year 2025. This year's elite jury brings depth, diversity and insight to the selection process. In other words, the award isn't just about who's been impressive, it's about who's been exceptional, judged by some of India's most respected voices. So let's take a look at Indian of the Year 2025 jury. We begin with Sanjeev Goenka, founder and chairman of the RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. You also have the former Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, poet and songwriter Prasoon Joshi. Then there is Sanjeev Bikhchandani, co-founder of InfoEdge. We also have Professor Pandit, Vice Chancellor of the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Amitabh Kant, former CEO, Niti Aayog. We also have former Supreme Court Judge Justice Indu Malhotra, Mahesh Jethmalani, also Gagal Narang, the Olympic medalist, of course, and actors Lara Datta and Shefali Shah. So this is a big lineup that we talk about. But here's now a quick look at the 9 categories for this year's CNN News 18 Indian of the Year 2025 under the theme India's Invincible Icon. So let's begin with the categories. We begin with sports here. Then there is, of course, the rising sports star, global Indian, climate warrior. It is very, very important to look at climate change, business, and then you have youth icon, of course, entertainment category is there, and influencer and iconic woman achiever. One of my favorite categories this year. So these are the categories that we are looking at as far as Indian of the Year 2025 is concerned. Let's now look at the entertainment category in the 15th edition of the Indian of the Year 2025. The nominee list features 5 standout names, each of whom have reshaped the entertainment landscape in 2024-25. Here are the chosen ones this year. Lights dim, the red carpet unfurls. These are the contenders for the entertainment crown. With a starring turn opposite Allu Arjun in Pushpa 2, a major role in Chhaava, and a Critics' Best Actress win at the South India International Movie Awards. Rashmika Mandanna expanded her footprint off-screen as well, foraying into business with a fragrance brand and signing as India's ambassador for a luxury label. Celebrating 45 years and over 350 films, Mohanlal delivered back-to-back hits like L2, Empuran, Tudarum, Hridayapurvam, and made a directorial debut with Barros, a giant who remains relevant. Here's where the story shifts. Laxman Utekar, director of Chhaava, one of 2025's biggest blockbusters, crossing the 600 crore mark in India alone. He is the creative force, entertainment beyond the face. The voice of a generation, Arijit Singh's presence here signals two things. Music is as much entertainment as film, and cultural impact matters. In 2025, he became the most followed artist on Spotify globally with 151 million plus followers and surpassing international stars like Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran. Finally, Jaideep Ahlawat. From powerful OTT presence, reprising the iconic role of Hathi Ram Chaudhary in Patal Lok 2, to winning Best Actor series at the Indian Film Festival of Melbourne 2025, and then a mainstream turn in Jewel Thief. He is the embodiment of shifting formats, where digital-first content and cinema meet. We have to discuss each of these categories, and for that we have our very special guest joining us on this very special show. We begin with Mayank Shekhar, a film critic who's with us on the broadcast. Also with us is author and screenwriter Adwaita Kala, and last but not the least, Ravi Rai, director and producer. Adwaita, let me begin with you. Ladies first, of course. What and who is your clear favorite this time around as far as the entertainment category is concerned? Who do you think is walking away with that trophy?
I can't say this time around. I've done this a couple of times in the past as well with you all on Indian of the Year. And this year is a tough one because everyone is so compelling. And I'm not being facetious by saying this, but I truly believe that. I mean, you have Mohanlal, who's iconic and has prevailed for so long. And he's the youngest winner at 65 of the Dadasaheb Phalke Award, which just goes to show that we should be honoring our legends a lot earlier. And then there's, of course, Rashmika Mandanna, the only lady on the panel, who's a pan-India star. I hate that word, but really, I mean, it applies. Because here's someone who dominates in the South and is now dominating in the Hindi belt as well with her acting. And not a Nepo baby, come out of, on her own and made it far and invested in businesses. So as a savvy businesswoman as well. And really what young India is looking at. So, I mean, they're here. Then, of course, Arijit Singh. And I mean, it's just, and of course, the director, Laxman Utekar, who I think has such a compelling personal story, really climbed the hard way up, running a vada pav stall and sweeping studios to being the director of this iconic movie, which has crossed hundreds and hundreds of crores. It's just incredible, the list you have this year. My compliments to your team.
Thank you so much for that, Adwaita. Mayank, do you agree? Because we have a diverse bunch this year. We're not just talking about people in the acting category. We have a virtuoso in Mohanlal. We have an OTT breakout star like Jaideep Ahlawat. He, in fact, got that recognition pretty late in his career. But how? And we also have the only lady and an actor who is being really lauded for the kind of work that she is doing, both off and on screen. That is Rashmika. And to top it all, we have a director and then a singer in Arijit Singh. So what do you make of this motley bunch?
No, it's a great list to pick from. But the whole point of a jury and the whole point of a conversation of this nature is to find that one pick that is your personal favorite. And there is no doubt in my head from the 5 that you've listed, from this lot in any case, it would have to be Mohanlal. For multiple reasons, besides the fact that you can give Mohanlal this award every year, and that's what his fans will say in any case. But here's a guy here's an actor who got the biggest lifetime achievement award there is in this country so far as cinema is concerned, which is the Dadasaheb Phalke Award in 2025. Of course, it was for the year 2023. And that usually means that you are done. I mean, that you've done all that you had to. And it's the same year that he's delivered the 2 biggest hits in his own career. And the 2 biggest hits in Kerala, the cinema in Kerala itself. I mean, talking about L2M Puran and we're talking about Thudarum. This is the first time ever that there have been 2 films that have crossed 100 crore in Kerala by the same person. So he's still at the top of his game so far as footfall is concerned or box office is concerned. He had another film, Hridaya Purvam, which is another commercial success. So here is someone, and if an award of this nature is about being invincible or being consistent, then there's a man who's been consistent for far too long. I think it would be a celebration of Malayalam films as well, and of course a celebration of Mohanlal that we cannot ever stop doing in any case. So that's one. That's for my personal pick, which is to take away nothing from the other choices that you have. I mean, yes, Rashmika Mandanna, you know what I mean? Like, here is a person who I remember a few years back was at a party in Goa, which was like a regular bar in Goa, and there was some celebration going on, and that's the first time I heard the name, because this girl had just had 1 million followers on Instagram, and she was having a little party. From there to being what would be considered the top female hero, top female actor in terms of box office numbers is a massive leap in very little time. And of course, a lot of it has to do with how the movie industries function by and large in both in the north and the south. With certain kind of films, you just become a lucky mascot, right? So if a particular film is work, which is pretty much a hero-centric film, then the heroine who was there in the movie becomes a lucky mascot for a particular film, and therefore starts getting repeated far more, and which is why we saw her in Chhaava this year, which of course was a big hit. But we also saw her, like, almost a week back with the Diwali release in Thama. So she's right up there, top shelf in very little time, and so if it's to honor someone who's just made it and therefore it is their year, Rashmika would be a great choice too. And of course, the others that one looks at. That is Jaideep Ahlawat, right? Now, everyone's talking about how nobody goes to the cinemas. If nobody goes to the cinemas, what are they doing? They're sitting at home. If they're sitting at home, what are they doing? They're watching series. And the problem that's happened, or challenge that's taken the last few years, is that quality of series in India has dropped drastically because it's become a formula as well. No one's taking the big risks. Now, for him to come back with a sequel of a great show, and to top that sequel, which is Patal Lok 2, which will remain as iconic as the first part was, is by itself a huge achievement. And Hathiram lives on. So in that sense, there was also his year, so to say. And then there is obviously Arijit Singh, right? Arijit Singh, I think, became global in 2025 thanks to Ed Sheeran. Besides the numbers on Spotify, I mean, everyone in the world, no matter which club you go to, no matter which bar you go to, north, east, west, south of the planet, they play Sapphire and they hear Arijit Singh. So Arijit Singh has been a huge Bollywood singer for years, and this year was was as great for him as the others were, whether it's a film like, say, a Metro in or even a Sayyara where he participated in the soundtracks. But you know what? This was a breakout year as well. And especially for a person who's spoken about how the shelf life of a singer in India or in the mainstream is usually 10 years. I mean, he's really defied that and surpassed it hugely.
Mayank, you already preempted it. You have pretty much taken us through each and every nominee in this particular category. But let me bring in Ravi Rai. Ravi, are you biased towards that one director who has made it to this particular nomination this year as far as entertainment is concerned? We also have Mohanlal, of course, because he has made his directorial debut. But about, in fact, Laxman Utekar for Chhaava, what are your views about his chances this year?
I think, I mean, the call is very tough, amongst all of them. But you narrow it down to Mohanlal and Laxman Utekar, very honestly. And, the biggest confusion is that we really do not know, is it for their achievements in 2024-25, or do we carry the whole journey of 40-45 years that they have, and, the legacy that they have? I mean, that also counts to be a person of 24-25. But narrowing it down, I think Laxman Utekar has a humongous, I mean, looking at all the odds that he faced, and he made a film called Chhaava. I'm not talking the film crossed 500 or 800. I mean, that's besides the point. Even the film did 800 crores, and it is still called not very critically acclaimed or very critically bashed, but it did 800 crores. And to make a film like that without a veneer, without a polish, I think for me, he is 24-25. Yes, for me, Laxman Utekar, and it is not a bias. I don't think that's a bias.
And one thing that you mentioned that also stands out here, Advaita, that it's not really any of these stars are coming in from a certain legacy that they need to breach or come up to that level, because they are the individual icons. They are not coming in from a film background, not coming in from a film family backing them, and that is what makes them really, really significant. All of these nominations, not just one that I can speak about. But since you've mentioned about Arijit Singh, Mayank, about him, we speak about an Enrique Iglesias performing in Mumbai and how it is a big deal. We speak about an Ed Sheeran, who, by the way, Arijit has surpassed, as far as that is concerned, even Taylor Swift for that matter. But when it is about an Indian singer having that rock star appeal, we haven't really seen that, particularly coming in from the northern part of the country or the Hindi film industry for that matter. We do speak about A.R. Rahman when it is about global stardom, like Adwaita just put it. Why not with a singer? Why do you think that is a lack? And do you think Arijit is ably filling that gap?
Hugely. And I think one of the big post-pandemic entertainment stories is the fact that the world really wanted to go out and experience concerts in a way that they'd never done before. I mean, it was also the year of Coldplay, wasn't it? Where people were getting onto trains, special Coldplay trains to watch a concert. Arijit is right up there. And you know, for people who go to visit his gigs, it's as good as watching anyone else live from anywhere in the world. And he charges the same kind of money, right? It's a huge bomb you have to pay to watch an Arijit concert, and he really kills it. So I think, more than his stage presence, I think his persona. There's something very endearing about a guy who's so hugely popular, but takes his celebrity so lightly and continues to live in the boondocks of Bengal, if you may. Ed Sheeran needs to travel to that small town or his gully where Arijit is in order to even shoot his particular video if he wants him in it. So that, you know, that aloofness of an artist, and yet the numbers of a global entertainer is what makes Arijit a very captivating person, a persona in the show business, as it were. He never gives interviews. You barely see him, selling himself per se. His music does all the talking, and no matter who is composing a song, they want Arijit Singh's voice, because the public really badly wants that voice. There's that, that dard wala voice that he has, which is what makes our desi music what it is, right? And he kills it in a way that not too many people at the moment can, and very few in the past have.
You just spoke about the kind of persona that he carries, and he is so relatable with very many, and he is such a huge star, whether it is the way he comes across, whether it is his attire. I wanted to ask Adwaita, do you think he is going to be wearing a suit if he at all wins that trophy for Indian of the Year this year? Because I haven't seen him so formally dressed. Do you think that is going to happen this year?
I don't think it really matters to him. This man is singing his own tune, so to speak. I don't think he's buying into the celebrity. He's not buying into the flash. He's just being him. And I think this is the new generation, This is what stardom is with this new generation, is to just do you. And I think doing you is really the way it is nowadays.
Absolutely.
And more power to that. And I think Arijit just does Arijit. That's it.
Adwaita, let's talk about Rashmika, the only lady, like you said, as far as this nominations this year in this particular category goes. The fact that it has been a meteoric rise for Rashmika. When we talk about the lady, we do not just speak about a Pushpa 2 or a Chhaava. We speak about much more. We speak about the brand Rashmika Mandanna. We do understand that many actors in her generation are working towards that, what she's already achieved. What do you think really is very striking about the lady here?
She's talented. She's definitely talented. That's one big thing. And, the fact that she's able to dominate across industries. We have so much regional cinema that she's a part of as well. And she's at the top there as well. We haven't really seen that kind of transition since maybe Sridevi. It's been a long time that we have seen that kind of transition from regional cinema to being a top actor there to Hindi cinema. It's been a while, and it's not easy to do. There's a different audience, there's different taste levels, there's a different even style of acting. You know, if you sit in enough of these juries, film juries, you'll realize how you know the acting also differs from region to region, what the emphasis is and how the projection works. So I think her transition, her ability to have her feet in both boats, and of course the fact that, you know, she's been on this steady climb. It isn't like you snap your fingers and here she is. It may look like that, but she has steadily climbed. She's been relatively uncontroversial. She's not had any big scandals. She's totally focused on her work. Not to say having a scandal is a bad thing in showbiz, but just to make the point about her. And you know, and she's also savvy. Like I said, you know, getting into business, investing in things. So this is actually the young, again, you know, she's not ubiquitous with a certain sort of narcissism which has been so often associated with our industry. She's, you know, different from that. Like, and I think that's the commonality with all of these nominees. If you notice, you know, be it Mohanlal, who's a legend, who's again humble, or Arijit, who's again humble, or Jaideep Ahlawat, or you know, Laxman Utekar, or Rashmika Mandanna. I think one commonality I see in all of them is humility.
Absolutely. And Mayank, this point that Advaita is making, I get back to a conversation that I remember having with my journalist friend, and Rashmika came quipping that, oh my God, I am your neighbor. And she was that candid about this entire affair. There were no starry airs about it. And that's what possibly these stars are today, and that's what makes them really different. In this particular case, it's not just Rashmika's associations or let's say associations with a certain actor, in this case of Vijay Deverakonda. That is not the only thing that is making headlines for the actor. She has other things in her kitty that people would like to speak about more than her liaisons.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and that's what I said earlier, the first time I heard of her was at a random bar in Goa because she had crossed 1 million followers on Instagram. And the next time I hear of her is that she's transitioned from internet into a mainstream star, and that transition is the story of entertainment now, right? Like right from, say, a Justin Bieber, who could be a YouTuber and then become the big sensation, because the mainstream is, the lines between what is mainstream and what is not is blurry. And someone like a Rashmika really fits right at the center of that transition, in the sense of you are so accessible because you are on my screen all the time, on my phone, because you could be either selling a product to me as an influencer on Instagram, or you could be talking about something or the other, or just visiting, and that becomes me consuming you, in which case you're accessible to me, which means that whole eye level where I'm looking up to a star, that phenomenon it doesn't exist anymore, in which case you have to do it more relatable. And I think that's what Rashmika is. She comes across as relatable to an audience that looks at show business, people in show business equals now, which was not the case anymore when, you know, back in the day when there was mystique over stardom, because you barely saw them, you saw them once in a year in a theater, right? And then you read gossip about them in these magazines, etc. That's not the case anymore. And I think even as a performer, you can tell how she's kind of, you know, upped her game, because if you remember when Animal came out, she was badly trolled for her performance. Like, you know, she's mumbling, you can't hear what she's saying. Of course, Animal was a huge hit, and that's really what matters, and that got her all the projects even thereafter. But you don't see anyone talking about, oh, you know, Rashmika bringing, say, Thama down because of her performance. No, she's at par with an Ayushmann Khurrana in the lead role. So you also see a sort of a journey in terms of a performance, in terms of an artist, and you see the other journey, which is the journey of the world we live in, which is someone who comes from somewhere, enters the internet, and through internet becomes thereafter a completely mainstream star.
Absolutely, but we cannot wrap this conversation without talking about the other breakout star, which is Jaideep Ahlawat. So about Jaideep, and also your final pick.
See, Jaideep, I know him since a very long time, and I remember for the first time when I saw him was Gangs of Wasseypur. I saw the film in theatre. So there was this fight which was in the mines. It was dark. I mean, it was the lighting was very dark, but he made his presence there. When I came out and I asked, "यार ये आदमी कौन है यार? वो जो लंबे बाल वाला था." So that's where Jaideep Ahlawat made his presence. And then, of course, very reluctantly, very honestly, very reluctantly, I saw Patal Lok because मुझे लगा Patal Lok title यार क्या होगा Patal Lok. But when I saw, he was outstanding, and he has a journey till now, and he's got a long way to go. Talking about Rashmika, when we all were talking, post-COVID, when we were not doing very well, I mean, the films were not working. The only positive thing that happened post-COVID was the amalgamation of the South and the North. That bridge, was, और वो जो होता था ना कि आपकी industry, हमारी industry, that somewhere the myth started, and a synergy, which saw people like Junior NTR, Rashmika.
But I just want to say a few words about Jaideep Ahlawat because that's the only person I've not spoken about. I think he's really interesting. Again, very humble beginnings. Haryanvi boy picking up cow dung to being this, celebrity and the star on OTTs. And I think he's so interesting because he's a brilliant actor. Of course, we know that about him. He's a great dancer. He doesn't fit a box, right? You have a box. Like if he's a character actor, then he's really a dancer. If he's a character actor, maybe he doesn't have that star appeal, and these are boxes that have been created that we fit into and that we fit other people into. So I love the fact that he breaks that box, and also he's shifting the paradigm of what it means to be a star.
Well, one thing's for certain, that if at all he makes it for Indian of the Year, we will get him to show his moves. Yeah, absolutely. But I'd like to thank all my guests for joining me on this very special broadcast. Thank you so much, Adwaita, Mayank and Raviji. So like we've been mentioning, the nominees have told their stories. As for the winner, they will write the next chapter. Stay tuned, the curtain is about to rise. Goodbye and thank you so much for watching.